Hi there and welcome to this Literacy Shared Adobe Express digital challenge. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to make a narrative sequence graphic based on a book or a film that you've been studying. Now, in this example, I'm going to be creating a narrative sequence for the film Octopody, but you can use the same skills if you've been studying a different film or even a book. You could even just do it on one chapter of the book or the entire story. It's up to you. Now, if you need free Adobe Express accounts for your school, just follow the link that's at the bottom of the screen right now. And there, you'll also find the other free things we do for schools like live lessons, teacher training, and lesson packs. Okay, let's get on with this narrative sequence challenge. Here we are on the Adobe Express homepage, and we're going to start off by creating a landscape project. And on the all-in-one editor, we're going to start off with a background. So let's find a background by clicking on Elements. And under Backgrounds, let's search for Seaside and decide on something and add it to the page. For each step in our narrative sequence, we're going to need a placeholder. So under the Design Assets, search for notepaper and then find and add the notepaper that you like. I've broken the Octopody narrative down into 7 steps, so duplicate your notepaper so that you've got one piece for each step of your narrative. Once you've got the right number of notepapers, then move them around, check the spacing, and maybe rotate them a little bit so that it looks a bit more interesting. Next, go back to the Design Assets and search for an arrow that you can join the first notepaper to the second notepaper. Once you're happy with the first arrow, duplicate it for all the other pieces of notepaper, and remember that you can use the flip horizontal and flip vertical if you'd like them to look a little different. Now add a text box to the first piece of notepaper describing the first step in your narrative sequence. Try and keep this text to the bottom third of the notepaper because we're going to need some images on the top section. Now's a good time to think about things like line spacing and choose a font as well. Now that your first text box is ready, duplicate it to all the other pieces of notepaper and just change the text to each one of the steps. Hey, I hope you're having fun so far. Now then, teachers, if you'd like a printable PDF mapping these skills to the NCCE Teach Computing curriculum, just follow the link that's at the bottom of the screen right now and we'll send that straight over to you. Okay, back to the challenge. The narrative sequence steps are all in place. Now let's move on to the really fun part where we show these with pictures. Now for this bit, we're going to go into Elements and we're going to use icons. So the first one is the pink octopus and the orange octopus are in love. So let's just search for love, first of all, in there. And let's bring in a lovely heart. And next, I'm going to search for octopus. And I'm going to put that in there as well. So let's search octopus. There it is. This one looks great. Now then, what's great about icons is that you can recolor them really easily. So let's just choose that octopus, click on fill, and this one's going to be the orange octopus. And then I'm going to duplicate this octopus just by clicking on the duplicate button there. And let's just recolor this into the pink. And now let's just change that heart to be a lovely shade of red as well. I don't really like that shade of orange, so you can always go into custom and then you can slide your way along the rainbow here and you can choose colors using this color picker. Right, there we go. That's my first scene done. So next I want to show the pink octopus being taken away in a box. So let's just duplicate this pink octopus. There we go. And use that again. Let's just drop the size down. Let's search in the icons for a cooler. Cooler in the movie was blue, if I remember correctly. So let's just change that to a nice shade of blue. And let's pop that into its place. There we go. And it looks like that octopus is being dropped into the cooler. Great. And you can see now that we're going to keep on duplicating the different icons that we need. The orange octopus grabs onto the delivery van. So we need another orange octopus. Let's bring him over there. And let's find a van. Here we go. Let's pop the van in. And there it is. Change the color of the van and pop the octopus on the roof. There we go. Now then, I prefer the octopus to be in front of the van, so you can use your layer stack over here to drag your layers to decide what goes where. Right, I'm going to carry on now, adding icons and duplicating the ones that I want to reuse so that I've got all of my steps of the narrative sequence built up. Okay, that's my narrative sequence finished, and I had a load of fun with that. Let's duplicate one of our text boxes now for our narrative sequence subtitle. And let's duplicate this again and change it to the title of the film, and maybe find a different font. And here's a cool final idea. Why not add a text effect so that the name of the film reflects a texture that's something to do with what we see? There we go. Well, they look amazing and maybe a little bit terrifying as well. I'm going to add an outline just to make sure that it's easy enough to read that name of the movie, Octopody. There we go. And I am done. I love that narrative sequence. It looks amazing. Let's give it a name. And if you'd like to print that out, then download it as a PDF. If you'd rather keep it as a digital document, download it as a PNG. Or if you'd like people to be able to click on a link and see your published document, click on share and choose a view only link to create that link. Thanks for joining in. I hope you've had as much fun as I have, and I'll see you on another one soon. Bye.